got to get together all over this nation. I'm talking about not just regular big business. I'm talking about street niggas. I'm talking about niggas that call themselves gangsters. Real gangsters.
Al Capone, aka Scarface, born January 17, 1899 in Brooklyn, New York, was an American gangster who dominated organized crime in Chicago. Capone's parents immigrated to the United States from Naples in 1893. Capone, the fourth of 9 children, grew up in Brooklyn, New York. He attended school until the 6th grade, when he dropped out at age 14 after striking a teacher. As a youngin', Capone joined the South Brooklyn Rippers and 40 Thieves gang, known for vandalism and petty crimes, which were common in New York at the time. Capone also became a member of the James Street Boys gang during this period, which was run by Johnny Torrio, the man that would become his lifelong mentor and associated with the 5 Points gang. At age 16, Capone became a member of the 5 Points gang and served aspiring mobster Frankie Yale as a bartender in Yale's brothel saloon, the Harvard Inn. Before Capone turned 21, he was involved in several violent incidents. In a violent incident at the Harvard Inn, a young hoodlum named Frank Galucio slashed Capone with a knife or razor across his left cheek after Capone made a crude comment to Galucio's sister, prompting a later nickname Scarface. Capone later shot the winner of the neighborhood craps game to death as he robbed him of his earnings. Despite being questioned by the police, Capone was let go because no one had witnessed the murder. In another incident, Capone brutally assaulted a low-level member of the rival White Hand gang and left him for dead. Since White Hand gang leaders promised retribution, Yale sent Capone, his wife, and his young child to Chicago to work for Torrio. Torrio had moved from New York to Chicago in 1909 to help run the giant brothel business under Chicago crime boss Big Jim Calismo. Shortly after Capone's arrival in the city in 1919, Calismo was assassinated by either Yale or Capone himself in 1920 to make way for Torrio's rule. As Prohibition began, new bootlegging operations opened up and drew in immense wealth. In 1924, Capone was responsible for the murder of Joe Howard in retribution of Howard's earlier assault of one of Capone's friends. William McSwiggan, an aggressive prosecutor, attempted but failed to indict Capone when eyewitnesses of the murder, in fear for their life, refused to testify regarding the murders. Later that year, Torrio and Capone enlisted Yale and other associates to murder gang leader Dini O'Banian in his flower shop. O'Banian, Tommy Wise, and George Buzz Moran were unsuccessful in their attempt to kill Torrio in early 1925. After a stint in prison, Torrio retired to Italy, and Capone became crime boss of Chicago, running gambling, prostitution, and bootlegging rackets, and expanding his territories by gunning down rivals and rival gangs. In 1926, Capone went into hiding for 3 months after he and some of his gunmen inadvertently killed McSwiggan while attacking other rivals. Not even McSwiggan had been out drinking with 2 childhood friends who were also beer runners and other criminals when he was gunned down in the street. Again, Capone went unpunished. His wealth in 1927 was estimated at close to $100 million. But Capone soon rocked the country, orchestrating one of the most notorious mass murders in history, called the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, in which 7 members of Bug Moran's gang were chopped down by machine guns in a garage on Chicago's north side on February 14, 1929. Also in 1929, Capone served 10 months in Holmesburg Prison in Philadelphia after being convicted of possessing a concealed handgun. Capone was indicted for 22 counts of federal income tax evasion for the years 1925 through 1929. On June 12th, Capone and others were charged with conspiracy to violate prohibition laws for the years 1922 to 1931. In October, Capone was tried, found guilty on 3 of the 23 counts, and sentenced to 11 years in prison and $50,000 in fines and court costs. He entered Atlanta Penitentiary in May 1932, but was transferred to the new Alcatraz prison in August 1934. In November of 1939, suffering from the general deterioration of a late stage of syphilis, he was released and entered a Baltimore hospital. Later, he retired to his Florida estate, where he died from cardiac arrest in 1947.